Hi, I'm Dr. Dean van der Westhuizen, and I'm just going to run you through the basics of editing an Eye Eval template, how to get it to adjust the polls and ICD-10 codes, etc. So let's just get into it straight away. So over here you can see this is just, this is my name, it's not it's me as the patient, but obviously I don't want to put real patient data in here, and this is just a date booked in the future for myself. And over here I can open up an Eye Eval form from here, and I can obviously see the history, eye vitals, etc. You've got the system selector, which has other things which you can add into the system or take out. If I want to add optic nerve function, like you can see it pops in there, I can take it out. I can add a retinoscopy if I want in there, gonioscopy, etc. But as a default I have these set, and obviously in these we have subsections which you can open up, and then there's a variety of polls, etc. that you can click or unclick, select. So I mean, that's the basic usability, which we can discuss another time, but what I want to discuss here is how do you actually edit these, how do you change these things. So one of the common things is that people say, with the default template, that the visual acuity is, how do you say if the VAs count fingers, because over here if the VA is 0.8, if I want to make the VA, I've made a pill that's VA is less than 0.1 or less than 660, you can then drop down to hand movements, count fingers, NLP. So I just created that pill. So how do you create these pills and edit all these sections? So let's go to where you will find that. So let's just go out of here for now. I don't want to save that. I'm going to go up to the settings menu, which is up over here. I'm going to select that. There we go. And then we are going to go to entity settings. And then right down here to workflow event templates, and in here is all the templates we have. I mean, we've got consent forms, we've got custom forms, emails, a variety of things. Eye Eval, that's the old Eye Eval, this is a new Eye Eval 2. I've got a variety of them. The default one, which is set here, is the eye examination one. So we're going to go into edit that. Let's click edit there. Okay, so over here you can see how the template is viewed, and this is exactly how you saw it being viewed earlier. And you can open and close these sections as normal. Now, this is important, that how you leave this form here, when you click the save button down here, is how the template will view every time you open up a new Eye Eval form. So if you click here and you click one of these sections, for example BCC, then and you save this, all your Eye Eval forms will look like this. So unless you specifically want that, you want to obviously keep things blank, so that when you open it up it's a blank form. Although you may not want it to be completely blank, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So this is the one view. Now it's important over here, there's a button called toggle mode. So this is as if you were using the form, and then you can save it. The toggle mode gets you into the area where you can now edit. So you could see here in toggle mode, you can see all these systems here, but you can't see them here unless they're selected. You can see that it appears and disappears. And so if you want more sections as default, let's say every time you want extraocular muscles every time, you can do click save, and then you'll have extraocular muscles as part of the template. But these are the ones that I like on as default. If I go to toggle mode, it shows me all the sections, and this is where you add sections, remove sections, edit sections, etc. So over here, I can add a separate system, which is going to add a whole new system. But let's start with fundoscopy, or let's posterior segment exam. So under any of these, let's go to posterior segment. Where's posterior segment exam? I can't find. There we go. If you click on the grey border around here, it'll open up this section. You can see the subsections that are sitting under posterior segment are now there. An important button here is also the copy forward button here. Now, so what the copy forward does is, if you select that, it means that every time you open an Eye Eval form for a patient, it will take the previous findings from the posterior segment and copy it forward to today's exam. So it will show you what you documented previously, and then you can make adjustments and change it. And maybe you don't want all the sections to copy forward, you only want some sections to copy forward, but that's what that does. I have history, external exam, anterior segment, posterior segment copying forward, indirect fundoscopy. I don't obviously copy forward my eye vitals because that would be silly. The VA pressures, etc., auto refraction change every time you see the patient, so that's why that's not selected, but that's what that means. If you select split section, it'll split it into two sections, left and right, like a left and a right arm. Obviously for ophthalmology that's very specific, orthopedics that's useful, but maybe not for other specialities. But split section will split the section into two, a left and a right. That's if you want to add additional images, custom images, whether that's from your cell phone, whether it's from an imaging device, etc. You can add additional images, and then notes is just that bottom section where you're able to make notes. If there's not a specific pill, you've got a place to make notes. So maybe you want that there, maybe you don't. To open up this section, let's say vitreous, I open up there. That then opens up the area where I can edit vitreous. So, for example, over here, you've got a whole lot of pills. If I wanted to add an additional pill, I would just click on the add pill button here. So under here I've got Schaffer's sign, which is, pigment in the anterior vitreous, but some people may not like to call it Schaffer's sign, and maybe they would like to call it tobacco dust. Maybe they want to say tobacco dust present or tobacco dust absent. You can do it in a variety of ways. So if I just add a pill here and I say tobacco dust, okay, so if I do that, it's going to add a pill that says tobacco dust. I could add another one that says no tobacco dust if I wanted, and I could have two pills like that, tobacco dust and no tobacco dust. But often what I like to do instead is to make a drop down. So if I go to tobacco dust and I click on the outside, now I'm adding more information to this pill. Now this is where you get your considerations, your ICD-10 and your billing codes. So this is going to become a button under vitreous. If I add a diagnosis here and I add whatever, let's make it, I don't know, HO 4.1. I know that's not correct, but let's just say we add that, and the billing code we added 0109. That means that when I click this button, tobacco dust, it's going to add that ICD-10 code, and it's going to add that billing code. If I add a consideration, I can say here something like, so there's tobacco dust, I can say maybe retinal break noted. Or, you might want to say something specific related to tobacco. So it can be anything, and you can have multiple ones of these. You can say requires 3-mirror exam, or obviously it can be specific to whatever really you want. So I'm going to save this just to show you what this looks like. I'm going to add a widget onto this as well. So on this widget I'm going to make a drop down, and that drop down I'm going to say present, and I'm going to say absent. Okay, and so I'm going to save this just to show you what it looks like. I'm going to click save there, and I'm going to click save again there. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to clinical. I'm going to open up a new Eye Eval form. Let's open up a new one because it's going to be a bit different now. And if I go down to posterior segment and I open up the vitreous section, you'll see the button for tobacco dust is now there. If I click on that, it opens present or absent. So those are my two buttons that I created. And then under tobacco dust, because I've clicked that button, you'll see the ICD-10 code, HO 4.1, which is not correct. And then you'll see the considerations here, retinal break noted and requires 3-mirror exam. So that's what I've added on to that button when I clicked it. And then you have options here. So on this side, you can add retinal break noted. If you click on the little blue button here, it'll add it to assessment. If you click on the actual thing, it'll add it to the plan. And if you keep clicking, it's going to add a whole lot. I can say OD, retinal break noted, OU, 3-mirror. So let me just delete this so you can see what that looks like. OS, retinal break, OU requires 3-mirror exam, and you can see that that's being added to that. So that's how you add a pill with a drop down and add ICD-10 codes and considerations to be able to add to it. So that's the basics of adding a pill. So I've obviously created these pills and these ICD-10 codes, etc. And you know, if you like them, keep them. If you don't like them, remove them. I'm still working on the considerations and ICD-10 codes, etc., to make it, you know, to refine it. But let's go back into that editing screen so I can show you a couple of other things, and a couple of other things to edit there. So here I am back at the editing screen, and I'm going to add a new system just to show you how it works, and I'm going to call this a test section. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to add a section called section 1, add another section 2, and section 3. So now you've got 3 sections. I'm going to make those to a split section. I'm going to want to have custom notes and custom. This is going to just to show you what this looks like, and that's going to be a non-split section. Under here, I'm going to have a normal description, and I want to explain what an alternative normal description. I'm going to say this was normal, and over here I could say this was very normal. But you can obviously put whatever description you want in there. You can see for the normal descriptions, for example, in anterior segment, I've got under cornea is clear, and anterior segment I've got formed and quiet. So if you click normal, that's what it's going to show you in the normal section. And then you can add pills, widgets, and images. Because this is a split section, you can add an image either side, and here you can add any diagram you want. You can add a blank diagram, so you can say, okay, for this part of the section I want something that has, oh, I don't know, let's say you want an image that looks like that, and on the other side you want an image that looks like this, whatever you want. And that can be an image that you upload as well from a camera blank. You can upload a file or an external upload. So those are images you can add. And then pills, I can say pill 1, pill 2, pill 3, etc. You know, under pill 1, I wanted to have a consideration that says admit for IV antibiotics, and I wanted to have a diagnosis code of H16.0, and I wanted to bill 0109 as well. Okay, under this pill I can add, I just want a widget on this one, and I want it to be a number input, and I want it to be just a number input. And then on pill 3 I also wanted to have a widget, and I wanted to have a text input like that, and I want it to be self-learning. You can label that field that says maybe grading or whatever you're wanting to write there. So now I've got a new section called section 1. That's its normal description. It's got 3 pills in it, and it's got a self-learning subfield, and yeah, and this one also has a number field, and then maybe another widget with a drop down with a few options. Drop down and give it option 1, 2, 3, etc. Then I'm going to add a widget to this section. There's a variety of widgets. I'm going to show you what those will look like. So a text input is just a normal text input. I'll make that a learning field, and I'm going to say text input 1. Okay, and then we're going to add one of the other sections, which is going to be a number input. That's just going to be a number. You can have it self-learning or not. Then we're going to have a drop-down. That's going to give me a drop-down. I can have obviously a variety of options. Option 1, option 2, option 3. That's what a drop-down looks like. Then I'm going to go to a record. It's going to have a variety of columns. So we can add, the first one is going to be a drop down, and we're going to say section 1, and then we're going to add another one, section 2. Oh, sorry, this is section 1. Section 2. Oh, these are all the options. So option 1, option 2. Cool. And then we're going to add the next section is going to maybe be a text input, and that's going to be a self-learning field. That is section 2. And so we've got a record widget. I'm just showing you all the different types of widgets. You can have a VA widget. I'm just going to add a VA in there. It's standard. You'll see what that looks like. I can add in a refraction section there. I can add in a blood pressure. That's not helpful. Retinoscopy. Well, it is helpful, but you know, we don't often use that. Keratometry I can add in there, and I'm going to add just to show you what all the different widgets look like. And I can reorder these to choose the order by just clicking and dragging. Let's say I want another drop down over here, and I can move that up to there, and I'm going to say drop down, and under there I can obviously add my other sections with option 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just to give you an idea of what this section is going to look like. It's obviously going to look like a bit of a mess, but I've created a new section called test. I've got a normal description. It's a split section. I can add custom image and notes. In section 2, haven't put anything. In section 3, I haven't put anything. In section 1, I've added a variety of pills and different widgets, which can be text, drop downs, record, which is columns, VA refraction, etc. So you can build up pretty much anything you want here, but let me just show you what that looks like now. Okay, let's go back to clinical. I'm going to open up a new form now that I've made changes to it again. Let's open up that, and so under the system selector you'll see the test. Where's test? Where's it hiding? There we go, test. I've got it as part of the template. I'm going to actually remove that. This is going to be difficult tomorrow. And under test, the test section, you can see I've got section 1, 2, 3. You can see these were split section. This section wasn't split, so that's why it's a single section. If I open up this side, you can see this is section 1. I've got poll 1, 2, 3. I've got a text input field, which is self-learning. You can see if I put some information in there, and then I put some more information in there, you'll see that it will start learning the input that I've put in there for future, because it was a self-learning field. Drop down, I put just numbers for the drop down. There was just a number field, and then this was a drop down section, and then I had a this is a record. I had 2 sections, options 1, and this was just a text field, and then I had a visual acuity field which I could save in different forms, and then I can add the VA. I had a refraction which I can add in here just by clicking across, and then I've got this was the retinoscopy section I added. This is the gaze sections I've added, etc. So I mean, I built up. I mean, it's a very random looking section, but I just wanted to give you a concept of how to add however many sections you want. Obviously, the all normal button, when I click it, you can see this was normal, this was very normal, and this was normal. So this is those alternative fields, and this was that single section. There's nothing under the section. That's why when I open it up, there's nothing there. And this is how I've built up all the different sections. So let's just remove this for a second. So you can imagine under anterior segment, under here, these are all pill based, but I might change this to have other sections, and the subsections are also I'm building up. So for example, anterior segment, the flare has a drop down, cells has a drop down. If I select conjunctiva and I select pterygium, it defaults to say grade 1 nasal, so it's automatically I can say grade 2 temporal or nasal and temporal. So I've just created multiple drop downs under pterygium and then added ICD-10 codes to that. So that's how I built these templates up, but obviously they are completely editable to make them to fit your practice. Obviously I've made different templates for surgery. To switch to one of your other Eye Eval templates, you click there and there's other options. So for example, If I go to, let's go to surgical note phaco, under here there's a drop down section that has, some fields for surgeons, anaesthetists, and then if I'm doing a right-sided phaco, Eye Eval type, the type of incision, and then you can obviously add notes. You can add a voice recording here if you want to record. It will transcribe what you say here and put it in the text field there. You can add additional notes there, and obviously you can add, to this you can add pills that are specific for billing. So you can have, paracentesis, insertion of lens, etc. And by adding pills to the section, you can generate lines on your invoice. So then you can use your surgical notes to generate billing. So that's just really how the forms are edited. I hope that is helpful. When you first look at it, it might look like it's very busy and difficult to do, but really it is quite basic, and you can constantly edit and adjust and adapt them to suit your needs.